Hello and welcome back. So we did the last video of today was to basically show you how to change Laragon that it defaults to PhpMyAdmin rather than HeidiSQL, and then we can basically use Laragon as our server tool using its PhpMyAdmin tool. When you click on the database option, it goes directly to localhost/PhpMyAdmin in order for us to build a database. So this next video, the second video that I'm going to do, is go through what we pretty much did during the lecture today, which is build a database and do some searches and selections on that on a table within that database. So I'm going to go through that exactly as I did it during the lecture today. Okay, so basically let's look at a different one. Now, here's my camera shop example that I did earlier during the lecture. You might want to kind of like browse through that and see what's inside product table. So I won't necessarily do that again. I'll do a slightly different one today. I'll do one about cars. So we can go back and just make a new database, and I'll do this right up here. So go to the right hand side, or if you like, you can just directly go to the PhpMyAdmin icon and just go back to the home button as such. And we want to search for the tab called databases. So click on databases there, and you'll be asked, well, create a database. So this database that I'm going to create now is going to be called a car dealership. Okay, let's do it as a capital C, capital D, car dealership database. We're going to sell cars, not cameras. All right, so car dealership. Create that, and there we go. There it is, car dealership database in our list of databases. So click on that, and the option we get is it says no tables found in the database. We want to create one. So what I'm going to do is, well, what do car dealerships sell? They sell cars, don't they? So I'll click on, just type in the word car with a capital C to indicate that this is a table rather than a field. And the number of columns, you can change that, but I'll just leave that to 4. We want 4 fields in our car table. So car, check everything before you press go. As they say, measure twice, cut once. It's kind of easier to just do it right the first time than to go back and change things later. So car database, car table inside the car dealership database. 4 columns. Let's choose go. There we go. So that gets created for us, and it immediately puts us to this structure tab where it's expecting us to pretty much build up this table. So let's do that right now, and it's looking for fields inside this table car. You can even see it there. It's got the database car dealership table car. So inside that, I am going to say that basically that's the car license plate. Okay, so car license number. Okay, just like every car has a license number. Now this is a slightly different thing to what we did during the lecture today. I'm not going to call this integer because, as you know, license numbers may have a letter within them. It could be 00D, blah blah blah, 452, 161D, ABCD. It doesn't really matter. You might have the latest and greatest car will be, what will it be? We're in the second half of 2020, so it'll be 201D or C for Cork, and 539, whichever that's going to be. So I think varchar is there. Even though it's mostly numbers, better to have it as varchar. Okay, so then the next thing we'll say is car make, and I think that's a good one there to call that varchar as well, because like you might say it's a Nissan or a Toyota or a Mazda. It's a make. Car model. This time here, car model. Well, think about that. Should that be integer, varchar? Which one? I'd say varchar. Car model. Mazda 6, but it's kind of spelt S-I-X, 6. Or you might have Nissan Micra or Toyota Avensis, things like that. Mercedes SLK. Okay, so let's leave that as varchar. The final one, price, well, let's leave that as an integer because that's a number. And it'd be a good way for us to do some calculations in the next minute of that video. Okay, so let's do one more final thing before we kind of press save on that. First, double check all your fields. Car, license number, good. Car make, car model, car price. Are the type of data correct? var car, fine for license number. Is car make? Okay, yeah, that looks good. var car int, that's fine. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to set one of these up to be a unique value. And I think license number should be unique, meaning you can't repeat the license number. So you can't have two cars driving around a city with exactly the same license number. Even if it's the same car, the same color, same make and model and price, you can't have the same license number. So what we would do for that is we need to go for this null index and choose primary, meaning that that's the primary key. Now this window here is a window saying, well, basically, do you want me to go ahead and make that a primary key, because it'll run some SQL code, some SQL code to do that. And unless you're going to write that SQL code yourself, this window is perfect for it. So click OK, and that's done it. It would have given us an error otherwise. So let's put a comment in there, and I'll just say this is the unique identifier. This is the unique identifier, and that'll appear in any searches we do. So we'll see that again, which is nice to see, to know some comments appear that we added in for ourselves. So double checking again, car license, make model, var car, primary key. It's going to be unique, meaning you can't put in two cars of the same license number, even if everything else is the same. So save that. Oh, valid length, that's my mistake, excuse me. Let's say 10, it's expecting for varchar some type of actual word, some number of letters to save space. It doesn't want you wasting any space here on your database. So I just put 10 for that. Let's put those in and save now. Okay, so there we go. There's our car database table made. So we have the car dealership, the table car. There we are, car dealership. Okay, the table car within that. And the structure tab, which we just had there, indicates what the structure of the fields within that are. And we can see there the structure we just built. So car make is like 20 characters we're allowed to type for the make of the model. The car price is an integer. The license value is still something you would type, but it's got to be a unique word. Only every car in the database, in the table, has to have a unique license number. All right, so that's the basic structure. Let's add something to it, because if we choose a browse to look through it, there's nothing there. Okay, this is the unique identifier. You see, that's what I made up for ourselves as a comment. Okay, so let's insert a few cars and do a couple of tests. So let's put a few things in there. So let's say 11D5432, something like that. That's a nice license number there. And we'll put in a car make, just any old make. So just a little small car to begin with. We'll say there's a Nissan Micra 11D. What would that cost you? Let's just be optimistic and say about 4,000 euros we get for it. Okay. Put a second one in here. We'll call this, let's put this a really expensive car. So 201D123. Just making up a number here. We'll call this a BMW 7 Series, the latest and greatest of the BMW 7 Series, and I have no idea what they would cost, but I'm probably guessing about 120,000. So that's a very expensive car, which is fine because we want to search for some different types of cars as we move along here. So go, they should pop into the database. Notice that it's actually created some code, some SQL code to do that, and the tick box is all we need to see. That's all you need to see, that the tick box has generated that code for you and it works. That's what that means. Car license number make has had some values put into it. Let's take a look at those values. Browse, and there they are. There's our Nissan Micra at 4,000 euros, our BMW 7 Series at 120,000 euros. Right? Let's put two more in, and then we'll do some searching. The video should wrap up at about 12 minutes then. Right, so we go back to our insert here. The structure tab is still there. That's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to start having to change the structure after you've already entered things into it. So be careful about that structure. Like I said, it's just like anything else. Measure twice, cut once. Insert, let's put some things into it. So let's put a really, really cheap car in here, a less than €100 car. Sorry, €1,000, less than €1,000 car. So what would we be thinking here? We'd be thinking some kind of this is like the kind of car I might have or something. 98D, oh, let's put something even less than that, like a 95D. Would that pass its NCT? Possibly. 95D, 1, 2, 3. What do we make here? A little Toyota or something. So Toyota Starlet, great little car, still going after 25 years. It will say that costs you €700 to buy that car. Okay, and now let's put another kind of very kind of expensive car in there, and this time we'll call it 191D. Call this one, I guess, some sort of a Mercedes or something like that. A Mercedes SLK, I guess, a sporty type of car, and put that pretty much up there at the 100,000 level, so 110,000 or something like that. Okay, 110,000 euros for that car. Okay, there's our cars added. So we have two cheap cars, well, not too cheap cars, two pretty good quality, inexpensive cars, and two highly expensive cars. So you can see the code has been created. It's SQL code, structured query language. That is the language of databases. That's what it's using. You don't need to worry about writing that because it generates the code for you. Tick box gone. We can now do browse. And there we go. There's our cars, our very expensive cars, the Mercedes SLK. We have the BMW 7 Series, and we have the two cheaper cars. Okay, so that's everything in the database. There, notice still, keep an eye, the car dealership database, table car, all of the fields, license number, car make, model, car price. This is the unique identifier, just like we put in the comments to put in there. So finally, I'm going to do a little search on that, and we can just do a SQL command, and it writes most of the code for us, but I'm just going to basically filter all these cars out. So select asterisk everything from car where one, well, that doesn't really mean anything, where what, what's that going to give us? That's just going to give us everything, isn't it? So we have 4 cars there, which isn't too bad, but that could be 4,000 cars in a classified ads, in a newspaper, or a buy and sell website, car zone website. Those are perfect websites to make a content management system. You know, car zone has photographs, it's got little videos in there, and it's got customers and accounts and comments and reviews that customers say, and you got prices on your content that you put in there. Any of those done deal type websites, which you know are pretty decent websites, but they are content management systems. So let's make one little final 2 queries here before we finish. I've gone slightly over the 12 minutes, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. Select asterisk from car where we'll just say car price is greater than 500, okay? Or let's even say something slightly more expensive, say 50,000 euros, okay? So it's pretty decent cars, over 50,000 euros, but we've only got 2 of them in this video, in this database. So there they are, there's the two cars that are quite high. We may want to go further. We may want to say, well, you know, greater than where car price greater than not just 50,000 euros, but you know, greater than 115,000. Let's imagine, wow, you're in that category. That's only going to be one. It's only going to be the one car greater than that, and it's the Mercedes. So get that out of there, and you can see the 120,000 euro Mercedes is showing there. So basically you could do any type of query on that. You could do a car less than, car price is less than something. Keep getting these messages popping in there. So our car price less than 1,000. Those should be the one car. So 700 euros, we only have the one car, the Starlet, that is less than 1,000 euros. Notice that if we try to put some other thing into that, if we try to put in a different type of a car that has exactly the same license plate as something else, then it's going to cause an error just to indicate that that's a unique identifier. Okay, so this is the unique identifier, and we're going to try and put something in of 191D, just like that in Mercedes there. So let's try that again, just to be sure, to see that it actually will pull us up on it, that the primary key has worked. So we put anything in here, just another, I don't know, whatever you want here. We can put in an Audi of some kind here, an Audi, you know, A6 or something like that, an older A6 for 10,000 euros. No, 191 will not be an older one, that'll be a fairly decent one. Let's say 60,000 euros for that Audi A6, but it's not going to let us put this in because we've already used that 191D with the Mercedes, so we expect an error, and exactly is what it gives us. So you can't do that because it's a duplicate entry for 191D, doesn't allow that, so bump, we're out of business here. Put in a different license number for your Audi. So we'll say, well, okay, 191D, but something different, 546 or 7645. Here's the Audi A6, and again at that price, 60,000 euros. Place it in there. It allows it to do it. So insert into, it's good to go. Browse. There's the cars. So recap there. We need to set up a database. Go to a database. Set up your actual database. You got to make the database yourself. We've already made it. We call the car dealership. Inside the database, you need to make tables. So when you actually kind of start your database, you need to build some tables there. We've made one table here, which is a car table. If you want to add a different table in there, we can just go to the bottom here and type in a new table down at the bottom, and it'll create a second table for you. But for now, this first table is okay. Just click on car. It'll give us its basic kind of contents. The structure will show us what it looks like. Don't forget your primary key, because there always has to be a unique identifier for every record in a table. So there's the database car dealership, table car. These are the fields of the table, and we can browse the records of that. So the fields are just the kind of columns, car make, car model, car price. The records are the actual data itself. So this fills up fairly quickly when you're dealing with a website that users use and browse content continuously, and it's got to be filtered somehow, and that's where the SQL comes in. So we can do this in many other automated ways, but this just being your very first introduction to building a database, you should be able to at least get that far for this first lesson. So thanks for watching that, and we'll move on to the next section in the next video.